Hello folks, Paul here, UK Rails and More. Just regarding this video that you're about to watch, it was filmed over last weekend and the footage took a little bit longer than expected. So just due to uploading, I'm going to do it over two parts. The second part will come out tomorrow. Just to clarify, this video is going to look at the hard standing, the foundations. The actual build of the cottages was on the previous video, and the review of the 08 that you should be looking at now, that's going to be on the next video, which will be released tomorrow. So hopefully that makes sense, and enjoy the video. Bye for now. Morning folks, Paul here, UK Rails and More. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Big thank you to anyone who's just recently subscribed to the channel, and of course all long-term ticket holders. And again, thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. So in this episode, basically I'm going to be looking at explaining how I built a couple of buildings. These are going to be terrace houses of slightly different styles that I'm going to be incorporating into the new river section of the new modular 00 gauge layout. And also after that, we're going to be taking a look at this new purchase, which is a marvellous Class 08 locomotive, shunting locomotive in the rail freight distribution sector livery. So I'll have a look at that in a moment. So and I'll explain how I built these buildings, which are going to be incorporated into the layout, and also they're going to be actually help us with planning the actual scenery and how we incorporate these two different level buildings into a landscape where we've got flowing hills coming into this side and then the land sloping off down in this direction. So if you like the sound of that, stay tuned and I will bring you back in a bit. Bye for now. Okay folks, welcome back. Just realised that the work I was talking about in the last end of the last little clip was making a good old cup of tea. So there we go. Welcome back. So yeah, what I was looking at with these just is really a few of you that will already have watched some of the other videos will realise that I wanted to make a multi-level layout. And I also wanted to sort of really think about incorporating the way the track and the line and the building infrastructure of the lines and everything is incorporated into the hillside, the natural kind of flow of hillside. And part of that, of course, is that houses are built in certainly hilly areas in and around the hills. They've not got the luxury of building them all on flat spaces. So that's what I really wanted to look at with these buildings and how you get slight differences depending on the hillside around. What I was looking at, and I take a lot of inspiration from just sort of looking around buildings, real buildings that you can visualise, and then think about how you'd incorporate those into the line or into your own layouts. And what I've noticed is that quite often you'll get terraced houses. So this is the idea, is this is a four, so there'll be one house there, another there, etc. That they don't always have the different roof lines. Now even on the flat you can have some where you would have different roof lines and different size heights of buildings, but certainly as you've got buildings going up a hill like this, if you just imagine that's the road, just trying to get an idea, you'll see them that they're actually built up the hill in a sort of a stepped fashion like that, and that's what I wanted to really incorporate into this building. So yeah, my thinking with this one was to have basically something along the lines of the back scene running along here, and then we'd have higher ground at one section, and then running down we'd have perhaps a rear fascia of buildings, or maybe even a road at the top. I'm not sure yet, just depends spacing how I can do it. Again, this is something, my last layout was an N-gauge layout, so I'm trying to get used to the scale of working in 00 again. But the idea would be that you'd have a road coming down from that road where we could have a couple of buildings, these and maybe that on the other side, or vice versa. And they'd either come down to just a sort of a dead end, or basically a lane that may even continue, or it may be a relatively not a major road, but a small road that would come and continue on. So we just have to see how that works with spacing. So the idea with these is that I've noticed that some terrace houses, you will get built like that, where they're effectively stepped up as they go up a slope. So you've got some like that. But then you'd also have some that would be built into a hill, where they actually have their own hard standing. So the foundations are built around them. So they're actually raised with the road coming down still below that, but they're built up on their own raised platform. So it should become clearer as I carry on with the video, this basically. But you've got two types there that I'd like to really incorporate into the new layout. And again, the idea with these is that they're scale size. So I'll explain how I built those. But the idea is that I will be able to actually use those once they're all secure, and we can easily make them into the actual building that will be used. So your working, actually putting them together, isn't wasted. So yeah, hope you like the sound of that, and I'll bring you back in a bit. Bye for now. Okay guys, welcome back. So we'll move this one out of the way for now. And then what I want to do is just focus on this one. I'd really appreciate as well any comments you've got, whether you appreciate this type of video. Would be really useful. If you find it helpful, hopefully it will be. That's really good. Again, if you prefer the other stuff, that's good as well. Any feedback's welcome. But basically, just having a look at this one. So my idea is this one. It should be, again, it's like these. It's built off the same kind of size, and the idea is this would be four individual, or potentially it could even be three actually, just one bigger and two smaller ones, but terrace houses, probably stone, that kind of thing. And of this one, I wanted this to be built where it's on its own effective platform, and the idea is you've got hillside coming down this way, and then you'd have retaining walls with gardens going up the top with steps at the back. And then gradually, as the hillside comes down to road level down here, you'd have platforms. So you'd have the feature of it being built on its own sort of structure, its own earthwork, effectively, foundations. Where at the front end, it would be on a platform, but then in the back it would be retaining walls, so it'd actually be built into the hillside effectively. And from sort of observation, I've noticed this is what you get quite a bit in the real world with houses that are built into a hillside like this, whereas these ones tend to be more where you've got the hillside purely coming down in that way, so they're not moving a lot of earth from the back. But hopefully that should make a bit more sense. So all I've done really is at the moment just tried to work out a footprint for this building and how it's going to go. So what I wanted to do is work out that at the front of it, obviously you've got differences with terrace houses in their own right. You've got some that will go straight onto the actual street, where the door opens effectively into street level. And you'll have some where they'll have a small garden area that's very small, some with a bigger garden area at the front. So with these I wanted a fairly small garden area. Just to explain the inside of these lines, this inside bit, this is the actual footprint that they will stand on. At the rear, all I'm thinking about, not necessarily the garden length, but I'm thinking about a small area at the back here for like a patio area, and then potentially there's going to be steps coming up, retaining walls, and then steps and individual landscaping for the different gardens going up, and they probably will go up the hillside a little bit at the back. But yeah, just so we can try and visualize it, this is going to be hillside flowing down here from this end, and then we're going to have dropping down continual. We're going to have a road coming down from this direction and possibly working its way around there, and we're going to have the river round down at this end. So hopefully we'll get a good idea when we put these onto the layout to see whether they actually work effectively scale wise. So yeah, I'm going to, just to let you know what I've done as well around here, is this height here, this is going to represent the actual height that the platform's going to stand at. And all I've done for this, working this out, is I basically used the width of the ruler and together with a set square to make sure that everything is nice and square and accurate. I've simply just drawn the line, so I've got that line running all the way around, and then the next job is basically just to go along and to score those and cut the relevant sections so that I can actually make a platform that we can see that this will sit on. And then after that, I'm going to be looking at doing some retaining walls around the outside as to where the landscape goes, and obviously the platform at the front. So I'll crack on with that and then bring you back for in a bit to have a look at the finished effect. Bye for now. Okay folks, so I've basically just cut round the outer lines so that I've got the footprint on the inner lines, and the job now is just to go around the outside and score along those inner lines so that I can just fold it back on itself, and then cut the one side of the corner as well, just on each corner, so that I'll be able to effectively bend that over and then just bring it in as well, and we can make a raised platform. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut one side there, just so one slot there, and then again all around the corners, and then just basically scored with the scissors and the ruler against the inner lines. And the idea is that these are just going to fold in on themselves now, and then I can just fold the extra bits. Really need to invest in some kind of holder here, but they're going to fold in like that effectively. So we'll have a raised platform. Okay, so there we go. We've got the basic hard standing now, and all I've done is just folded the flaps effectively inside on themselves, and then just used some tape just to secure them. But now we've got the footprint area that will be the flat area that's built into the hill, with a small, basically I was thinking maybe a wall or something at the front here, and then maybe an access bit, some steps coming up here to give access to basically a little passageway that goes down the side to get access to the rear, and then also a front pathway with a few just small individual walled gardens around the front, and again a bit of access at this point maybe, or maybe even you could have it up at this end where you've got the access at one end and you've got room for a car or something, and maybe a little ramp. I don't know yet, but we'll have to just see about that. And then around the back, effectively they'll have individual small yard gardens, and then the landscape is going to come down here, so there'll be a retaining wall at the back with steps, and then the gardens will probably extend up here for some bit, and then the hill will continue in this direction. So yeah, just for now though, that's all the detailed work that will come later on, but just at the moment I wanted to build a few things like this that I can use effectively to work out how much room I've got and room to position them, etc. And then this one, effectively my idea was that will be on the opposite side of the road, a bit like that, where the road comes down here, and then maybe bends around this way, or maybe there's a pathway going down to the river that way. And then the idea is that that I'll be able to use these effectively. I can use card and then cut windows, etc., and actually make them into their own individual little scratch build projects. But that's all to come. Okay folks, welcome back. So basically with this one, what I wanted to do is just build effectively the profile of the road as it goes up to this side, so that I can put that into position. I've got a platform that will show the road on them. With that, I may just sort of adapt that, or I may build another road, but this is just for demonstration purposes, just so I can sort of really visualise it. I'll have the other building on this side. So all I've done here is I've basically just marked out that area there is just the footprint so it can sit on it. And then all I've done is I've marked a line along this side, and then this line here between these two, that's going to be effectively the amount of fall it makes. So that's going to be represent the gradient really, as from coming down here. To do that, I've just basically measured. Obviously, I want these buildings to be the same height. So I've measured the top. Now, ideally, I've not got to hand a standard ruler. So this is actually an aviation ruler. So it's for plotting, and it's in nautical miles. But it matters not really for this one. This is just for the reference. So you can see there it's 10 from the building line to the top. And then from this side, I marked down from, I don't know if you can see that, but from 10 there, if you can just focus there, then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically that's the fall I want to make is going to be effectively 4 nautical miles. But if you're using the correct ruler, you'll get to know. And that all that does is it ensures that the actual height of the buildings is going to be the same for each of the houses as they go along. Now I have actually built these to scale, so I've basically, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you use something like Rightmove, a good tip, a lot of them will actually show particular buildings, and they'll give the dimensions of them, things like heights of rooms and footprints of rooms and things like that. So that's something that can be quite useful for just converting it to 00 gauge or 00 scale with the 4mm to the foot, so that you get something that looks proportional to the thing that you're trying to recreate. So yeah, there we go. So basically all I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut along this line, because that's going to be the actual gradient, and then here I'm just going to score along this line and this line, and then score along this line as well, and then this section is just going to fold back under itself. In fact, actually that's going to be, I'm going to score along that line as well. I'm going to put line there and score along that, so the whole thing can fold back, and you'll see how that looks when I bring you back in a sec. Bye for now. Okay folks, welcome back. So basically what I've done is I've just folded that piece over on itself and secured it down with tape there. So effectively that's going to be the footprint for the house, or the row of houses. And then the next thing is, with those scoring lines, is just folding this one over. You can see where it's scored there. You normally, just with the scoring, usually you'd have it scored on the inside, but obviously the way that would work, it would make this back to front effectively from how it is. But it's not really a problem. I mean, you could just put the houses on the other side and then just adjust that. But I wanted this width of road at this section, so you can put pavements and you've got more on it than you need if need be. And then you can see how I've just, that there provides the profile for the street view, the road coming down. So it's just going to be a case of just tidying that up and securing those, but that's the general effect, that you've got that gradient. You could of course make it steeper, but for this it's really dictated by the height of the individual houses, is what dictates the steepness of this section here. So it's just going to be a case of tidying that up with tape, and then we've got something that we can put in place on the new module and just see how that looks. So I'll bring you back in a bit. Okay folks, so just to have a look at this, what I've done further to the last, I've basically bent this over now, and I've used some tape to just reinforce that edge there, because it's a weaker edge, because we've effectively folded it the opposite way to what you normally would do. I've also, just to get the ramp, I've just added an extra piece onto the back there. I don't know if you can see that. So effectively I can secure that to something at the bottom, and that piece runs under both. So effectively the way it works is I've got the flat standing around this side. So that's going to be the base for the row of terraced houses. And you can see there, they're positioned up to the end. You've just got the gradient, so they're actually coming down the road and they're actually built around that. And then the idea was that on this side, obviously I've not done road length yet and things like that, because that's yet to do. But basically that's the hard standing for the others, which will go something a bit like that. And then the idea is that these are going to really come from where we've got the back scene at the back there, or maybe another road running along the back. So you're going to have the general hillside is going to come down from the right hand side here. So that's going to involve some retaining walls just to keep the landscape back and provide the structure that these are built on. These ones are going to be built on the hard standing, so you're going to have access along the path along the front, individual small garden areas, but you can see there that the road goes down and those are built at the platform. And then just to give the variety of the different building structures of these ones, there's no hard standing. The road itself actually goes up, and these are going to, well, most likely anyway, just open directly onto the street level. So what we've got there effectively, and this may well be a bit narrow. Obviously, I've got to get pavements on either one or both sides. Sometimes you won't have them on both sides, so we'll see that. It may be that you just have a pavement on this side and there's none on that side, but I can work out that. But basically what this does is it just gives us an idea of space-wise this scene, how I can incorporate into the layout and what height it needs to be at in relation to the tracks. So the next thing is basically to take this one, have a look at it on the actual layout itself and see how that's going to look. So I'll bring you back in a bit. Bye for now.